Mr. Martinez, you can start the meeting.
Good morning. This is the Construction Board of Adjustments and Appeals. This is Thursday, January 7, 2021 at 12 p.m. We are at the Launching Hill Building, 502 East Tyler, Arlington, Texas, 78550. This is a public hearing in consideration of the violation of City Ordinance 2020-21 by a structure located at 209 and First Street, bearing a legal description of Harlingen Original Town Site and 60 lots 7, 8, block 37, and possible action regarding remediation of violations. I'd like to hear from the city, their comments.
Yes, my name is Manny Aceves. I am the Code Compliance Manager with the City of Harlingen. Can you get number 2 first? Can you go for 2 minutes? You have to approve the minutes first.
Excuse me, did we start with citizen communication and the approval of minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. This one here?
Sí, toca number 1.
Okay, this is an open meeting. Number 1, citizen communication. Number 2, approval of minutes, meeting of November 5, 2019. Number 3, public hearing and action regarding compliance with the City Ordinance 2020-21 by a structure located at 209 North First, bearing legal of Harlingen Original Town Site and 60 lots 7-8, block 37. A public hearing to determine compliance or non-compliance with the City Ordinance 2020-21. The consideration and action on an order to repair or demolish the structure located at 2019 North First Street, Arlington, Texas, 78550, Arlington Original Town Site, and 60 lots 7-8, block 37. We need to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. The minutes have been approved. Okay. Number 3. Public hearing and action regarding compliance with City Ordinance 2020-21 by a structure located at 209 North First, bearing a legal of Harlingen Original Town Site and 60 lots 7-8, block 37.
If I could interrupt real quick, do we have any citizens communications signed up for this?
Nobody signed up. The property owner is in the room, but nobody signed up to speak from the, nobody filled the form.
Okay, just for the minute.
Yes.
We move on to number 3. So we. All right, moving forward with the public hearing. My name is Manny Aceves with the City of Harlingen. I'm the Code Compliance Manager, and like Mr. Martinez had mentioned, we brought this structure to this meeting. We had an issue at 209 North First. After further investigation, we have been out to the property. several times to verify its condition. If you guys allow me to share the screen with you, I have some photos or evidence of the building itself. Okay, and this is the conditions. It's 201, 209 North First. This is actually just a roof viewing of the building itself. I'm gonna run through these pictures pretty quick. They're all on the roof. As you can see on the roof, it does have issues with the integrity of the roof. It has begun to cave into itself. These are areas all along all the walls along the building itself. If we see that AC unit that's there in the wide, if we can tell it's starting to move into the floor itself. This is another one that's also caving into itself. This is gonna be on one of the south walls, southwest walls. We have the trees around it have already begun to fall into the structure. This is just a condition of the roof itself. And there's that AC was mentioning, its integrity has already been compromised, and it is leading into the building already. So we can see that the building, it's considered unsafe. We did find that some of the structural members of this building are dangerous to life, health, or property that surrounds that area. We need to continue to look at these issues. We brought it once to the construction board last year, remediation, and the owner has failed to remediate any violations within this building. And so for this reason, we have continued to bring it back again. We have stated several ordinances on there. We've stated from the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, the 108.1.5, where it talks about the dangerous structure on itself, where it states in the ordinance that any portion of a building structure that has been damaged by fire, earthquake, wind, flood, or deterioration, in this case, neglect, abandonment, vandalism, or by any cause such to extent that it is likely to partially or completely collapse or to become detached or dislodged. And by the picture that we have just seen, it does show that some of these areas have begun to deteriorate and they are partially caving into itself. So we did attach these photos for your review, why we have considered this structure to be extremely dilapidated or unsound. So as far as the staff goes, the city recommendations is we recommended the CBA make an order to remediate the violation so as to bring the property into compliance, either by securing it again, repairing it, removing, or demolishing any structure within the property violations. And we're allowing the citizens to have 30 days to do the remediation. Now, if we further recommended the staff to the board that if the owner fails to remediate the violation within 30 days, the city again may perform any or all work necessary for the remediation of these violations. And then the cost of any such effort shall be assessed against the property and secured by a lien in accordance with the applicable provisions of the Texas Government Code, Chapter 214. So that's what we recommend is as far as the staff goes to the board.
Okay, this is an open meeting. Is anybody to speak about this item?
I'm Lydia Romero, I'm the owner. And the reason the building has not been fixed is because several things happened in between that we couldn't fix it. I had an owner for the building, and he had talked to some people to fix it, but they first had to go to California to complete a contract they had in there. Meanwhile, they were supposed to come back in March, and meanwhile, the virus hit, the coronavirus, and they stayed in California. So we started all over again to look for someone, but because of the virus, they couldn't do anything. So we were held up. And meantime, the potential owner decided to back off and not buy the property. And he said to put it up with a realtor to see if they could sell it for me. So I did, and I have a buyer who's willing to buy the building and fix it. He brought some roofers and people to look at the building, and they said that it did not need to be demolished. It could be refurbished. And that's where we're at right now. However, our neighbor keeps threatening to sue me, and he has made the year a living hell for me. He keeps calling. He says, I'm going to sue you, but I'll be glad to buy your property for $10,000. And my property is worth $65,772. And he's called me several times, and he's had his lawyer write a letter to the effect. And then just last week, he sent my attorney a letter saying that he's willing to buy the property for $10,000. I have a buyer for the property, and he will fix the building. So then this man got a call from somebody in the city saying not to buy the property because it's pending a lawsuit. And that's not true. And but this man keeps pushing, and that's what this is all about. I granted the building is an eyesore, but it's worth some money. And I have been told that it does not need to be demolished. And that's what I don't want, because this building belonged to my husband, who worked in it for 30-some years. And he was a counselor. And I wanted to, that's his legacy. As ugly as it looks, but it can be fixed. And the neighbor who first issued the complaint told me, well, I kept looking at the building. I went regularly, and there's no way the wall is going to fall on him. But he said, yes, my building is leaking because of your building. And I thought, how can that be? That building was leaking 20 or 30 years ago when it was occupied by Chris Boswell and Randy Whittington. They rented space from my husband to store some of their files because they didn't want them to get wet. And now this man says that the building is leaking because of my building. I have the process of selling the property is going through in the next maybe few days. And the man is willing, he knows the history of the building. He knows the history of the problem with the city and the man next door. But he's still willing to buy it. And it would be to the benefit of the city of Harlingen if it could be rebuilt. But all this has been, the complaints has been by that man because he wants my property for $10,000. And he's never, he even called the realtor and asked, why doesn't she give it to me? Come on. And I probably would have sold it to him if he had approached me and said, you know, instead of going through all this, and it said, I'm interested in your property, I'd like to buy it. But he didn't want that. He wanted it demolished so that he could use it for something else. I don't know what, but I'll be damned if you demolish my building, I still will not sell him the property. Because he went around sneaking and harassing me all this time for $10,000 and my property. So that's where we are. The building is going to be fixed, but then the coronavirus interfered. The people couldn't come down from California, and in fact, they decided to stay over there because there was more business over there because of the fires and all of that. So since then, I've been fine. This man found out that I owe taxes on the building. I did, but I paid those taxes, which he doesn't know. And I guess that's where he says a lawsuit is pending, and he thought he'd get it free. But I'm telling you, other people have looked at the building and it can be refurbished. And if it's going to fall down, it'll fall inwards, not to the side. I know my property. And that's the same thing my lawyer told me. My lawyer's Ruben Peña. He told me, don't accept $10,000. Give a counter amount to $50,000. Well, I'm already getting what I want from the buyer. So I'm begging you, don't tear down the building. Give us time to fix it. I mean, this past year, it would have gotten fixed this past year. But everything got in the way. You know how this past year has been. And I know the building will not fall down on his property.
Javier, when was the last order that was given by the Construction Board of Adjustments to remediate the building?
Ismael, I think it was in February of 2020. Ismael, do you have the information? I believe it was February of 2020.
So it's been almost a year since the last order was given to remediate the building.
Actually, it was November, it's in the minutes, November 5th, 2019.
So it's been over a year.
That were approved.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, okay, do I hear any comments on the board?
Yes, what's the square footage of the building, of the roof?
I think I have that information. Square footage?
Basic overall dimensions, look to be 40 by 50, somewhere in there.
We don't have that information.
We can get it right now for you if we need.
Okay. It's not here in the paperwork.
Hi, this is Sergio Linus. Does the city carry any liability if hypothetically this building does fall down?
That's something I can take up with you in closed session. I don't want to advise you to that in open.
Okay.
Just
Maddie, how much time does she need to complete the sale of the property?
I've already signed the contract and we signed all the papers. It's all in. It's in the paper.
Can you give her a microphone? I can't hear her.
I guess in the next few days, the gentleman was supposed to be here today, but he couldn't make it. He's working. I mean, we're at the end of selling the property.
So do you think 30 days would be enough for you to complete that?
I beg your pardon?
Would 30 days be enough for you to complete the purchase?
Yes.
I can tell you that you cannot rebuild that roof in 30 days. You would have to have, for the city required structural details, that would take a couple of weeks at least, and then you have to reframe the roof and then recover it. So that you're looking at least a 2 to 3 month process. I just looking at the walls, I would agree that they're not danger of collapsing their CMU walls, but the roof is making the building uninhabitable. And so it would have to be, for the most part, rebuilt. There may be some framing that's salvageable in there, but for the most part, it'd be rebuilt. And I don't see that getting done in less than 2 to 3 months.
Right.
But they can start.
I think that if she were to sell it to somebody who would show an interest in rehabbing the structure, that might be of interest to the city, because we've had over a year that she's had it and she hasn't done anything to it. So perhaps a new buyer might have the funds to actually do something.
Yes, he does. And he wants the building. And he wants to use it. It was an office building. It had several offices. And I think that's what he wants to open it up again as an office building.
This is Chris, CS. Does the potential buyer, are they aware of the situation with the city right now where, and are they aware that there's a timeline that the city is requesting that corrections be made?
Yes.
Have they shown a willingness to meet that timeline?
I beg your pardon?
In other words, if you complete the transaction, the sale of the property, they become the new owners. Are they aware and are they willing to refurbish the building within, I know Mr. Day says it's not possible really to get it done in 30 days, but are they showing a commitment to get it done as soon as possible?
Yes,
And, you know, they may need to be made aware that if completion of repair isn't done within a certain time frame, it's going to be some trouble for them as well.
Let me step in on this. If she indeed has a closing on this property pending in the next week, one option, and this depends on whether the building is in imminent danger of collapse or not. But the city could reschedule a public hearing with the new owner in, a month and reissue a notice and have the same kind of meeting. Meanwhile, stay in touch with the current owner and see that this transaction actually happens. If it does, what the city can do is come back with a new public hearing and a new action on a potential new order, whether it's some sort of remediation in 30 days, or as Mr. Day said, that's not possible, for the roof alone, in which case the owner would be required to provide a detailed schedule and timeline as far as how long it's going to take him or her to complete the remediation. That's required if you give more than 30 days to abate the nuisance, to abate the problem. So that's one option you could do, is you could have a new public hearing with the new owner, because you have to, before the city can have any interest in any remediation, you have to have a public hearing with the owner. And what we're hearing now is that soon there will be a new owner. And so anything that applies to this owner, this woman here, won't apply to the new owner. So in essence, you would have to kind of restart the process.
What options do we have, Allison, if the building is not sold?
If not, you can have another public hearing and you can order remediation, or you can order demolition. What you cannot do is order remediation and then as a consequence, if it doesn't happen, demolish, because it's not a consequence, rather it's an order, it's a specific order depending on the state of the building and what reasonably can and is being done. So we can't like order fix the building or we'll demolish it in 60 days. That you can't do. It has to be a specific order based on the parameters that are set out in this meeting. So feasibly, if it's not sold, you can bring it back and make the order that the board finds appropriate. But it's up to you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'm sorry?
No, I'm asking if anybody wants to make a motion, the board members.
I've got one more question.
In regards to the size of the building, it's 3,648 square feet as per the appraisal district. It's a good sized building.
This is Ernesto Flores, and I've got a question for city staff. Is the building secured? Is there any issues is it completely secured and off limits to anybody?
The building, it is boarded up on windows and doors, but everything is open right now. The roof part of that.
Can you get a microphone? I can't hear you.
I was saying, the building itself, windows and doors, I was out there yesterday, they are closed. One of the boards just fell off within the last couple of days. That could be a potential issue that one needs to get boarded up. But all the other doors and windows are boarded up. Now, on the main entrance, the roof has collapsed onto the ground, so there is an opening through the bottom of the roof through the main entrance.
Manny, can you complete the slide presentation that shows the entrance? Because you didn't show all the slides, and at the end, there's a picture of the entrance.
Let me get it right here. And again, it's just the roof that we're showing again, how it's been caving into itself. And that's the one we're talking about right there. That's the main entrance right there, and that's how the roof has collapsed onto the front part of it.
Does that go through the roof? If you look up, do you see light, or is that just a soffit that collapsed?
You can see, one of the pictures will show it, but you can see part of the roof. Let me see, it'll be. This picture right here, that one line you can see that's coming out, it goes from, I guess, bottom to top of the screen, that is facing the street. So that roof is right in the middle about that, so you can see it. That line runs all the way through the building.
Yeah.
There we go, I got a better picture right there.
I would also think that we're dealing with substantial damage at this point, where everything in there would have to be brought up to current code, including plumbing, ADA, windstorm, electrical. It certainly, when you lose any structural component over 30%, you're at substantial damage, and the roof is over that right now. So it would be more than just a re-roof. It would be a complete refurbish of the interior, because I'm sure you've got water all over everything and microbial issues.
Well, the man that wants to purchase the building has gone in and seen it. He knows exactly what he's getting, and he says he can do it.
Allison, can the board ask that she do something within 30 days or sell? Otherwise, it'll be demolished?
No, what we'll have to do is you have to, if the board wants to act and require her to make some sort of remediation within 30 days, it can do that. If the board orders a remediation that takes longer than 30 days, or if the owner says she needs longer than 30 days, then she has to have a specific timeline as to what she's going to do and when she's going to do it, and the board has to follow up. But if you want to order a demolition, you would have to bring it back for a new public hearing and a new order, because you can't have demolition as a consequence. Demolition is an order, just like abatement is an order. And under 214 of the Texas Local Government Code, it doesn't provide that if you don't do this, then we're going to demolish your building. It doesn't work like that. It has to be a separate, specific order based on the integrity of the building, the structure, what the likely outcome is of remediation and the like.
Okay, so knowing that we did something in November of 2019 and nothing happened, so we'd have to give her another 30 days to do something again, and if nothing happens, have a new meeting to order a demolition?
Up to 30 days, you can give her to remediate. You can bring it back if there's indeed a new owner. The new owner would have to get notice and be afforded the opportunity for a public hearing. So it's just by leave of the board, as far as if you want to order her to remediate somehow today within 30 days, you can do that. If she says she can't, then, I mean, she would have to show that it cannot be done and provide you with a very specific schedule for you to approve for taking longer than 30 days under the law. Or you can just order a demolition. You can do that too. Or you can hold a new public hearing and wait and see if she has a new owner. and have a new public hearing with that owner. You have several options.
Okay, so if the board orders a demolition today,
Yes.
then she sells the building, that order goes away because there's a new owner.
Well,
I guess what we can do is like allow her 30 days to sell the building. Then the new owner needs to come over here to get the permits to refurbish.
Did
That's
she
one option.
confirm if 30 days was sufficient time? I think she said that, but I just want to make sure that that's what she said for the sale to be complete.
She did, she said a few days, is what she said.
Ms. Romero, do you have a contract in place?
I beg your pardon?
You have a contract, right? For
Yes.
the sale?
Yes.
You got a contract for the sale already. You can probably allow her like 30 days to sell. Yeah. And if it doesn't sell, then we'll have to bring it back to the board.
Can we get counsel on a closed session? I'm still curious about as far as what our liability is as the city for it.
We'll have to ask Ms. Ramos to step out of the building, out of the room.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
I motion for the board to go in executive session.
You need to read the exception. Let's see. You need to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act 551-071-2 to consult with your attorney.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for the Texas Open Meetings Act 551-071 to consult with counsel.
You got a motion and a second?
A second.
Okay, can we just wait a few minutes? I need to make sure that we stop the feed on the website.
Was there a vote?
I don't think so. I don't think that it went all in
You
favor.
need to call for a vote. If there was a motion and a second, then you need to call for a vote.
Mr. Martinez, can you call for a vote?
Okay, do we have a vote?
Is coming. He couldn't find the beverage.
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you, Senator.
Continue?
Yes, we're good to go. We're back in open session and we're recording and live streaming again.
Okay, this is an open meeting. Do we have a motion from the board?
Yes, if I may, I'd like to make a motion. The motion would be to provide the owner with at least 30 days to develop a remediation plan and provide to the city.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, a motion and a second. It's been approved. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yeah.
I think that's it.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'll meet again on February 11th. Thank you all very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.